Welcome back to the show, and today, my friends, we're going to be talking about the rarest, most mystical and mythical beast of them all, a Nintendo Direct. That's right, we haven't had a full-blown Nintendo Direct since February the 9th this year. That's well over 120 cold, unfulfilling days marked off the calendar. But if Nintendo's track record of events, and of course their talking heads who have been predicting a Direct every month for the last 3 months are anything to go by, then we're almost certain to get one before the month is out. Now, Nintendo threw a spanner in the works earlier this week by announcing a 20-minute Direct for the 22nd of June that'll focus solely on Xenoblade Chronicles 3. But I think it's still possible that we could get a full Direct before the end of the month, or failing that, in the first week of July. Incidentally, Xenoblade Chronicles 3 getting its own mini Direct tells me that Nintendo has a good amount of heavy-hitting content to show in its next full presentation. Otherwise, they would have simply shortened the Xenoblade offering and rolled it in with the rest rather than getting it out of the way early. And needless to say, if you enjoy the show, be sure to comment, like, subscribe, and hit that notifications bell to validate my fragile ego and ensure that you never miss any future episodes. But that's enough of that, because I want to get hot and sweaty talking about my Nintendo Direct hopefuls. And we're going to start off with a big one, because I want to see the announcement of a sequel to Super Mario Odyssey. Along with Breath of the Wild, Odyssey was one of the key software offerings that made the Switch such a must-have at launch. It's a game that brought the old school magic synonymous with the Mario franchise back while being incredibly innovative at the same time. This time around, there were no more game overs. We got introduced to a range of new characters and dinosaurs along with a chorus of breathtaking levels. It is, in short, a masterpiece that highlighted the strengths of the Switch while making the most of its hardware. It was also incredibly popular amongst the Nintendo fanbase, and so the announcement of a sequel will be a surefire way to generate some serious hype. There's also the fact that Nintendo loves its sequels. That is, unless your name is Mario Kart 8, in which case your chances of seeing a sequel before the sun burns out is becoming increasingly unlikely as ever more DLC washes up upon your shores. But seriously though, we're getting Breath of the Wild 2 and a sequel to Splatoon 2. We've had Luigi's Mansion 3 and hell, even a Kirby Fighters 2. My point is that Nintendo isn't allergic to sequels, and it's high time for another jaunt through the Mushroom Kingdom and beyond, either as the bloody-handed plumber himself or even as Princess Peach. That said, even if I do get my wish and a Super Mario Odyssey 2 is revealed during the upcoming Direct, I wouldn't necessarily expect to see it released in the immediate future. After all, Nintendo has a lot going on at the moment, and they aren't going to want to cannibalize the sales of any of its other heavy hitters by releasing the game too soon. But we could still get a release window hovering around summer 2023. Speaking of big hitters, I'm holding out hope that we're going to see something from the sequel to Breath of the Wild, despite the announcement that its release has been delayed to the first half of next year. Now, I'm not conceited enough to expect anything like a gameplay deep dive, but it'd be great to get another minute or two of teaser footage along with the long overdue reveal of the freaking title. Previously, the senior project marketing manager for Nintendo of America, Bill Trinan, had stated that they wouldn't reveal the title of the game because, and I quote, "Zelda names are kind of important. Those subtitles, they start to give little bits of hints about maybe what's going to happen." And I mean, obviously that has to be misdirection, right? Because any title that gives away so much information that it couldn't possibly be included in the PR hype campaign leading up to the release of a game is empirically a bad title. It wouldn't matter if such a title were to be released a few months or a few hours before launch. The internet would rip apart any hidden meaning or plot clue regardless and disseminate it throughout its tendrils. And honestly, I don't think Nintendo would be that ridiculous with their title. No, my theory is that they simply hadn't nailed down the direction of the title at that point, but surely they have now, so give it to me, Daddy Nintendo. Oh, and incidentally, sticking momentarily with the Zelda vibes, I'd also love to see the official reveal of the rumored Wind Waker and Twilight Princess remasters that are hopefully coming to the Nintendo Switch. Allow us to give you our money. Bayonetta 3 is another game that I'm expecting to see showcased in the upcoming event. It was first revealed all the way back in 2017, but after a long agonizing wait is finally set to release later this year. So I think we'll get a good slice of gameplay to get the fans excited before they announce that it's actually coming out in the first half of 2023, because even Bayonetta can't defeat COVID delays. On a personal note, I'd also love to see a sequel to Astral Chain announced now that the IP has been acquired from Platinum Games by Nintendo. And also I'd like to get a closer look at Splatoon 3, considering that it's slated to come out in just a few short months from now on September the 9th. But moving on, I honestly think we could see Nintendo shadow drop the Advanced Wars 1 and 2 remakes. This collection is, to all intents and purposes, complete. However, Nintendo decided to delay the launch of the game in light of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That was a laudable move and one that I think was appreciated by the gaming community as a whole, but the depressing fact is that the war in Europe is likely to be fought for many more months to come, and Nintendo isn't helping anyone any further by not launching a video game. I think it would be a classy move if Nintendo were to drop the game on the day of the Direct and pair it with another message of solidarity or even financial backing to charities working to help those whose lives have been destroyed and uprooted by the conflict. I mean, they won't actually do that, as the mantra of game publishers at large is not to get involved or take any significant stance in the real world, but it's a nice thought. But nice thoughts are one thing, a new mainline Fire Emblem game is another, and I think it's past time for a cheeky announcement. Now, rumours have been swirling for a while now that a new mainline Fire Emblem game is near finished, and I for one am thirsty for it. Up until the release of Three Houses, I was never a big Fire Emblem fan, but I was converted so hard and so fast by the charming management and storyline of the latest game that I developed a nasty case of whiplash. And as any doctor will tell you, the only cure for whiplash is more whiplash. Plus, an announcement in the new Direct would make perfect sense, as the Musou spin-off Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, which is set to launch this week and is by all accounts outstanding, will have whipped the fanbase into a lather. Oh, and speaking of people being in a lather, give me a new F-Zero game, Nintendo, you cowards. It's clearly going to be a while before you announce Mario Kart 9, and so now is the perfect time for a new F-Zero game to Falcon Punch that racing itch. And finally, whilst I don't have a big history with the franchise, it'd be fantastic to see anything at all from Metroid 4. This latest entry into the Metroid series is known to have been in development since we first saw the reveal in June 2017. Then in January 2019 it was revealed that the game had completely restarted its development cycle, with Retro Studios taking the reins from Bandai Namco. At the time, Senior Managing Executive Officer in Nintendo, Shinya Takahashi, explained the move by saying that the current development progress has not reached the standard we seek in a sequel to the Metroid Prime series. Of course, that was all 3 years ago, which is giving some fans hope that the game may be sliding closer to launch. However, water was poured on these hopes by a series of job listings for Retro Studios that included a position for a senior concept artist and an environmental designer. Now, these are both vital roles for the early development of a video game, so needless to say, alarm bells were rung. However, contrasting against these development woes, we have the recent success story that was Metroid Dread. Upon its release, this 2D side-scroller was met with a warm public and critical reception. This, along with the fact that it launched day and date with the OLED Switch, led Dread to become the best-selling Metroid game ever. And in my not-so-humble opinion, Nintendo is going to want to capitalize on this momentum, so I think we could well see something Metroidy in the next Direct, whether it be a glimpse of MP4 or a smaller re-release designed to keep fans titillated in the run-up to the next big release. There have been rumours of a Metroid Prime trilogy remaster for years now, though more recent reports suggest that it might just be the first game in the trilogy that's prepped for a re-release. Either way, a Metroid announcement of practically any kind would likely whip fans into a frenzy. And that's it for today. Let me know when you think we're going to be getting the next Direct and what you're hoping to see from it. In the meantime, be sure to keep it here for all the biggest news, reviews, and reactions from across the video gaming industry.